It's the Wait a Minute Show.
Bruh. Ain't that right, Lopan? Wait a minute. Book it. Really? Really?
The Wait a Minute Show with your host, Jolani J.B. Bode.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Once again, it is your man, Jolani J.B. Bode, and this is the Wait a Minute Show. I got to get used to that. Lopan. The Wait a Minute Sports Show. Get that right, Jelani. This is the Wait a Minute Sports Show. I'm going to get that sports in there. And you are tuned in and listen to your man, Jelani J.B. Bode. And I got my co-host with me.
Indeed.
He cut me off before I could say his name. But Lopan is in the building with me to talk about sports, right? So before we do any of that, like we always do here, hey, show us some love, man. Turn on those notifications. Subscribe to the channel. Hey, hit that like. Put in the comment section whatever you got. We'll reply back to whatever it is you're saying. If it's something that I don't, that you didn't like that I said, or if you did like it, whatever it is, just make sure you're tuning in to the show. We always posting the show every week, so you can check it out and catch all the new content. And if it's something you want to suggest, you can put it out there as well. So do that for me. But now that I said that, let's go ahead and talk about what we're here to talk about. And the first thing we're going to talk about is Joe Burrow, right? Joe Burrow has shown up to camp. He practiced this past Wednesday. He's in the building. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals has not said that he's going to start week 1, but I truly believe Joe is going to start week 1, or he wants to play week 1. That is why he's back. He's back from his calf injury. Hey, everybody is saying that he wasn't limping. I guess he looks good and all that stuff. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy. All fine and dandy.
Indeed.
Yeah, Lopan, that's all fine and dandy. But the real question to this, should he play? Should he play? Now, he's up for a contract extension. And look, I was battling and I was debating about this with my guy Nino at Wrap It Up Sports. Hey, and check that out too, because your boy is on there as well. Wrap It Up Sports. So just YouTube that as well. But we were debating about, should he play? And I was saying, it don't matter. He can go ahead and play. He's going to get paid regardless. And Nino was like, nah, bro. Not the Nino Brown, not New Jack City Nino, but Nino was saying, hey, no, he shouldn't play. Get your money and everything. So I've had time to think about it, right? And I'm an honest person. I think, I'm a fair person. I thought about it and I said, you know what? Don't tell Nino I said this, but he's right. Because of the organization as well. The Bengals, who were, called the Bungles back in the day. But look, there's some things about the Bengals that they got to the Super Bowl and everything is great, but there's still some things about there that you really have to question, or you really got to, keep right in front of your peripheral, when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals. Because yes, if I believe if it's something, Joe Burrow, if he went out, and I'm hoping he doesn't do this, and I'm not trying to, put any jinx on anybody, but if it was some type of injury that put him out for the season, an ankle or something like that, he's still going to get his money. That was my argument. Now, if something else further happens, yes, obviously the Bengals would, just say, you know what? Ooh, let's see what happens and everything. Let's not take that chance, man. Get that money. They still have a week left. So I have the firm belief that they're going to get a deal done before the season even start. But if Joe Burrow go to practice, hey, take your time. Don't do anything too crazy or anything. Matter of fact, don't practice. Yeah, you know what? I'm a full go what Nino said. Don't practice, right? Where's my money?
Indeed.
Yes, Lopan. Where's my money? Give me my money, and then we can talk, right? Get the money first and then play. Because he is everything to that franchise. He is what's going to make that thing run. He is the future. He's the future. So it's plain and simple. So yeah, go ahead, Lopan, sit down. Go ahead, get your money, Joe.
Show me the money!
Yeah, show them the money. So let's move on from there. Let's get into some college football because we had some college football last week. Notre Dame played, who was that? Notre Dame played Navy. USC played San Jose State. We down here in the ATL, we had the HBCU game as well with South Carolina State taking on Jackson State down at my old little stomping grounds that I use. I shouldn't say little, but my old stomping grounds at Georgia State. And you had other games that was going on. So college football is in the air. Now it's going to be full blown going on this week. So we're going to be talking about a lot, when it comes to the college football scene. But before we get into that and any games that's going on, I saw this article out there when it was talking about next year, right? Yeah, I want to talk about the future for just a second. I want to talk about the future for just a tad bit. So this is the last year that the NCAA football playoffs are going to be a 4-team playoff, and they're going to 12 teams. Now, why are you mentioning that, Jelani? I'm glad you asked. I'm going to tell you why I'm mentioning that. Because going to this 12, the format of it was going to be 6 conference champions get an automatic bid. Well, the question that remains now, how is this going to affect all this realignment stuff that's going on in the NCAA? Pac-12 is falling apart. They're going to the Big Ten. They're going everywhere else. They're going to all these other conferences. So you're going to have teams that will probably had a chance to win their conference championship in another league or in another conference. And because of the competition there, they're not going to win a conference championship, which means you got another team in there that's going to be in the playoffs relatively, that you may question. So it's like, is it a problem? So right now, the NCAA is saying, they're talking about it and they're discussing it, but you have people who believe that it's not going to be a problem. Okay, it's not going to be a problem. It is going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem because we all know this whole thing, even though we're expanding from 4 teams to 12 teams, the NCAA still wants to have certain teams in the dance. And if you have eventually, I think it's going to go to a power 3. You got a power 5 that's basically going to be whittled down to a power 4, and it could be a power 3. Then you're going to have 3 champions from another conference that they probably going to have a problem with, right? And then you got the other 6 spots that, all these teams are going to be vying for. So I do think there's something that they need to look at versus later, and I'm not going to go on a tangent, but I told them, look at paying athletes, the student athletes now versus later. Now we're at later and now they got a problem with it. So that's what I'm saying. You need to look at this now, get in front of it, address it, and try and figure out, at least put in some type of contingency plan. If this happens, then this is what, we're going to do. Have some type of plan. Now they might be I'm sure they're discussing that behind the scenes. I would hope so. But I do believe that if they don't reevaluate this is going to be a problem down the road, and somebody's going to be upset because a school got in, and they're going to say, ain't no way that school was supposed to get in. Look at their record. Look at this, that, and the third. So NCAA, look at it. Look at it. Look at it.
Indeed.
Yes, look at it. So NCAA, do that for me. I said college football was in the air, right? Also, the NFL. It's almost here, ladies and gentlemen. It's almost here. Today is Thursday, so the official kickoff is going to be 1 week from today, where my Detroit Lions are going to be taking on the champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, right? So we're going to see how we match up. Where, are we really ready, for this prime time and all that stuff? But also what's going on is some holdouts are still out there in the NFL. And one of them is going to be a part of that game, and that's Chris Jones. The other one is Nick Bosa for the San Francisco 49ers. Both of these gentlemen are not in camp right now due to contract disputes. And same thing I was talking about, Joe, they want their money, right? And they're like, I'm not playing until we get to the number that works out for the both of us. Now, do I believe that these deals are going to get done? Yes, I do believe that these deals are get done. Who was that? The Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch has already said we're not trading Nick Bosa. I don't even know why people even ask that question. The man is 25 and he's a problem on the field. No way you trade Nick Bosa. Chris Jones, they're not going to trade him either. But what I really, 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 truly believe that this is about is leverage, right? I do believe both players are willing to sit out the first game, right? And I think in with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Detroit Lions. Now, Detroit comes in with a lot of hype. Everybody harps on the offense from, last year and everything. So, yeah, that's the legitimate, talk. So maybe Chris is looking at this is that, you know what? You go out there, and then if they struggle against Detroit, be like, man, had I been there, maybe this, turns out different. It's not the same thing like Emmitt Smith when he, was not playing for the Dallas Cowboys, and then they lost 2 games, and they said, all right, you win, Emmitt, and they gave him his money. But it's to show the team the value. I'm talking about it, but to show that team value. Who is the 49ers? They're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's not going to be a pushover game. Maybe Nick is looking at that as well. Look, they're expecting some big things from Kenny Pickett. They're expecting some things from Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. You already got Najee Harris there. They got Frankenmuth, as well. And we know the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're a well-run machine there, and they keep themselves relevant when it comes to football, right? So maybe Nick is looking at the same thing. So I do believe I give each one of them one game. I think they will be willing to sit out one game, and then after that, they'll just work out a deal and make it known. But now, if both teams struggle, I mean, that deal might be done before the game is over for both of them. So I do believe that they will sit out one game. What do you think? Put it in the comment section if you think that Chris Jones or Nick Bosa would sit out for a game, or even more, if you think that they would sit out more to show their value. Because we all know Nick Bosa, he makes that defensive line run. He is a matchup problem, right? And again, if Detroit, who has a really good offensive line, if they hold them at bay, that's not a good look. If the Pittsburgh Steelers hold them at bay, that's not a good look. And then also the same thing for Chris Jones. If they hold them at bay with Detroit's offense, that's not going to be a good look for them, and maybe they get the deal done. But I do think one game, after that, it's all said and done. They're going to be, done with it, right? Somebody else who thinks they're done or probably want to be done is running back Jonathan Taylor, right, for the Indianapolis Colts. So he recently just went on the PUP list where he's going to miss the first 4 games due to an ankle injury. He had an ankle injury last year that he missed time, so he was still recouping from that. Now, all this stuff has been going on with Jonathan Taylor, with Jim Irsay, and then the Indianapolis Colts, and he's not happy. He is not happy that a deal has not gotten done, and it's like, hey, I am one of the creme de la creme. Not a good running back, creme de la creme. I need to get my money. Now, of course, the Colts made some comments out there about the running back position that we already know about to talk about the devaluation of the running back position. So he's not happy at all. This is another question as far as like, is he going to play afterwards? Now, this whole trade, I didn't believe that the trade was going to happen. One, it's because Indianapolis gave Jonathan permission to go seek a trade. They didn't go seeking a trade themselves. They didn't say teams call us. They said, Jonathan, you go out there with your representation and you talk to those teams and then have them call us. If they were really serious about trading them, they wouldn't have gave him permission. They would have went ahead and started making those calls. So I never believed that he was going to get traded. The other thing was because of the value that they were wanting in return. You're not wanting to pay him, but you want a first round pick for him. And whoever signs him is going to know that he wants to get paid. He's not going to be like, hey, I'll take $5 or $6 million or anything like that. You're going to have to give him some money. So I'm just like, this is just ridiculous. No, they're not going to trade. They're trying to hold this out. They're trying to, mend that relationship. But this thing is going to after the 4 games, Jonathan Taylor is going to play, right? I don't see him sitting out the entire year. It's not going to benefit him. I'm not saying it's the same situation, but you look at Le'Veon Bell's situation where he sat out an entire year. That was something that did not work out. And I think that wouldn't work out if Jonathan Taylor sat out the entire year. I do think maybe he'll miss 5, 6 games, but he's going to play at some point. And then when he plays, everything is probably going to be all, said and done. I think he'll play on this contract. I don't think Indianapolis is trying to meet his demands, and then he'll go ahead and leave, or they'll do something crazy and tag him, and then we'll be right back, in this situation. But he is not happy, and I don't blame him at all. It's like, I just gave you 4 years, and I gave you a really good sample size of what I bring to the table. Now it's time to compensate me for it. I don't know what we're waiting on. Why are we holding this thing up? So there's a lot of people trying to get their money in the NFL right now, and Jonathan Taylor is one of them. So the Colts, I truly believe that they're going to try and keep him, because they would have drafted somebody to send a message. They didn't do that. But he'll play this year, and then after that, maybe he'll be somewhere else. And just side note, this thing kind of looks similar, minus the injury, to Saquon Barkley. I know Saquon wants to stay in New York, but he may have to make the decision of, I gotta go, because they went in a different direction, or they start allocating money to the quarterback. So it's their decision, just like it is, for the Colts. So he doesn't have to, stick around for that. So last thing we're going to talk about here. And I thought this was, interesting a little bit. And I thought this was weird also. Eric Lewis, if you don't know who Eric Lewis is, Eric Lewis now is a former 19-year NBA ref in the NBA, and he just recently retired. Now, he was under investigation, forget this, for basically putting out information, or a burner account. They alleged that he had this burner account, and he was going under a separate name and speaking on things as far as like with NBA refs. When people had a problem, they would say this, and he would go out there and defend, the refs. And they're saying that allegedly he is the culprit. He is the person responsible for doing that. Now, the problem is that he shouldn't be out there speaking on terms of the NBA without the AOK from the NBA, right? So maybe this thing is getting hot. Maybe this thing is getting close. Maybe this thing is, the story is about to break open. And he said, you know what, I'm out of here. Now, that's the interesting part, is just like, you got a burner account doing this, if it's true. The weird part about it is that it's about the refs. It's about, we get upset about the refs. We get upset at what they do. Now, some people that put money on it, they're a little bit, even more perturbed, like Lopan.
Indeed.
Because he done lost some money, betting on these games with people. I've told you about betting on games with people. He don't listen to me. So I could see, some of that. But why are you defending? Like, this is pointless. After a while, everybody moves on. No one is looking for NBA refs, to troll them all the time. And this alleged burner account that you got, I mean, how many followers? Maybe I should have checked that out. How many followers or how many people is following you? Is it something happens and then everybody's waiting to see what this person says about the refs that's just anonymous, that's defending the refs and all this? I mean, is anybody from the media following this? Is anybody from the NBA following this and saying, well, you know what, they got a point, what they talking about. Now, and again, he couldn't do it because the NBA didn't give him the AOK to do it. But if he wanted to do it as himself, and then, if they did give him the okay, hey, I'm going to run a video and I'm going to tell you, hey, let me explain to you how this is. Let me explain to you what is involved. Let me explain. Now, if it was something like that, that's totally different. But you're allegedly using a burner account. So I think it's just pointless. And if it is true, now you don't have to retire. Maybe he was going to retire anyway. But I just thought it was just weird. It was just crazy that he would do something like that. I mean, Lopan, you agree?
Indeed.
Yeah, of course. So, yeah, I don't know. Man, they'll figure it out. But one thing I have figured out is that this is the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. So, hey, if you heard me before, hear me again. notifications, subscribe, comment, send your boy some love, hit the like. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So we're going to go ahead and get on up out of here, man. Always, every week, we are putting something out. We're putting content out for the Wait a Minute Sports Show, and you don't want to miss it. So make sure you following us. Make sure you're getting in and we're putting in those comments. Give us some ideas. Maybe I'll use one of your ideas and talk about it for the show. Maybe I'll even have you on the show. How about that? But until then, man, you be good. Go out there, man. Be good to somebody else. And I'll holler at y'all later. So for your man, Jelani J.B. Bodie, host of this thing called the Wait a Minute Sports Show, two things as always. Stay positive and push forward. And I'll holler at you later. Open. Let's go.